Down these mean streets a man must go who is not himself mean, who is neither tarnished nor afraid. The detective in this kind of story must be such a man. He must be the best man in his world and a good enough man for any world. If there were enough like him, I think the world would be a very safe place to live in, and yet not too dull to be worth living in. That's how Raymond Chandler described Philip Marlowe in his essay, The Simple Art of Murder. Chandler saw his protagonist as a hero, a white knight, which, frankly, puts the character outside the realm of film noir, where detectives are typically desperate and uncertain. Chandler was fond of Dick Powell's portrayal, until Humphrey Bogart played Marlowe in Howard Hawks' 1946 adaptation of The Big Sleep. Chandler's hero worship kicked in, and he declared Bogart the genuine article, a guy who could be tough without a gun. Now, in Hawks' world, heroes were infallible, and Marlowe became something of a superhero. Frankly, Powell's portrayal is closer to the mark. He's not really tough, just a decent guy trying his damnedest to help his clients navigate a corrupt world and survive the beatings he regularly suffers. Now, it took cagey sleight of hand to get Farewell, My Lovely past the production code office. Even to casual viewers, it's pretty obvious that Lindsay Marriott, played by Douglas Walton, is a homosexual, in the tradition of the Maltese Falcon's Joel Cairo. It's also clear that Dr. Jules Amthor, played by Otto Kruger, is pushing dope to LA's elite in cahoots with his cohort, Dr. Sonderborg. But there were a few things in Chandler's novel that screenwriter John Paxton couldn't get into the script. Florian's, the club where Moose first takes Marlowe in his search for Velma Valento, was in the novel an exclusively black hangout located on LA's Central Avenue, the heart of the city's African-American district. And completely removed from the plot was a thread involving a gangster named Brunette, who operated a string of gambling ships off the coast. No one in Hollywood at the time wanted to antagonize the real-life model for this character, Tony Correro, whose fleet of casinos, anchored just beyond the 3-mile legal limit, hosted many Hollywood high rollers. When Farewell, My Lovely was made again in 1975, the code was long gone, and both those elements were included. And Robert Mitchum, then a well-worn 57 years old, took on the role many thought he was born to play. Me? I'm not so sure. By that time, Mitchum was better suited to age-appropriate roles, like the title character in The Friends of Eddie Coyle. Even as a young man, I can't see Mitchum as the Philip Marlowe of Chandler's books. Mitchum's stock in trade was a bemused, live-and-let-live attitude. Marlowe was a more bilious, self-righteous guy, railing in long, brilliantly worded soliloquies against a multitude of indignities. Well, who do you think was the best incarnation of Philip Marlowe? In addition to all the actors mentioned, he's been played by George Montgomery, Robert Montgomery, Philip Carey, James Garner, Elliot Gould, Powers Booth, James Caan, and Danny Glover. Now, my personal preference is a guy who never got the chance to play the part, but proved several times over that he was ideal for it. And if you want to know who he is, check out the Noir Alley Facebook page and Twitter feed, where we can all share our picks for the perfect Philip Marlowe. Now, when it comes to perfect casting, you can't beat Mike Mazurki as Moose Malloy, and not just on account of he's large.
Moose Malloy. You heard of me, maybe?
Maybe.
Born Mikhail Mazurkiewicz in the Ukraine, he emigrated with his family to America when he was 6 years old. He got a Bachelor of Arts degree at Manhattan College and a law degree at Fordham. But he earned money for his family during the Depression by wrestling professionally, which, he claimed, earned him 10 times a lawyer's salary. Mae West spotted his on-screen potential, casting him in her 1934 film Belle of the 90s. Although Murder, My Sweet was his breakthrough, he almost didn't get the part. Edward Dmytryk wanted a real actor, and Mazurki cornered the director and RKO boss Charles Corner in the studio commissary. As you might imagine, He was very persuasive. Corner approved a screen test. Dick Powell helped Mazurki get the role because he empathized with the guy. Both men were struggling to shed the perception they were one-dimensional performers. Mazurki's portrayal gets everything out of the character. He's intimidating, vulnerable, lovelorn, surprisingly deep, and disarmingly simple. The performance earned him a long career, 97 feature films and countless TV shows. Mickey Spillane once said that Mazurki would have been the perfect actor to play his detective, Mike Hammer, if only he could act. Hey, Mickey, I've seen you play Hammer in The Girl Hunters. Mike would have been just fine. Mazurki was a co-founder of the Cauliflower Alley Club, a fraternity that provided financial support to retired boxers and wrestlers. The organization's Iron Mike Mazurki Award was one of the most coveted honors in professional wrestling, with Mazurki's own cauliflower ear serving as the model for the award. Well, next week, you won't find me in my usual time slot. Instead, catch me at 8 p.m. Eastern next Sunday for a double dose of L.A. Noir as we present Act of Violence and In a Lonely Place. That's the Sunday night double feature, so I'm kicking Ben out for a few hours. Until then, see you in the shadows.